Hey there, welcome to the UkeStuff channel and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of this instrument. This is the Makala MK-P. Makala is Kala's entry-level ukulele brand, and they offer a number of instruments from soprano to baritone in the Makala line that are priced a little bit lower than their entry-level Kala brand instruments. Generally, the 15 line would be their bottom line entry level into the Kala line of instruments. This belongs to a friend of mine, and they asked me to change it back. It had some kind of fluorocarbons. They wanted it to have just stock Aquila Soprano guts like it came with, so I did that for them. Oiled the fretboard, dealt with some sharp fret ends, and thought I would do a review of it too, with their permission for the channel. So what we're going to do this review is, first of all, we're going to look at some subjective categories that I look at with all instruments. Then we are going to look at the specifications, and then I'll summarize it and give it a UkeGuide rating out of 5 possible ukuleles. Also, if you want to support the channel, there are 3 things you can do. You can like the video, you can subscribe to the channel, and you can always buy me a coffee to say thanks at buymeacoffee.com/UkeStuff. So let's begin with the subjective categories. The first is cost. Now, these I'm finding online for $59, which is actually pretty affordable for a soprano ukulele from Kala as a whole. And even though it is the Makala brand, you can see the Kala is in there. So $59 new. Now, in terms of value, I think you're getting a little less than that $59, because for $59, a lot of times you can buy an ukulele right now that has a kit and a bunch of other things. Just recently ran across some tom ukuleles that were $30, $29 each, with a really nice gig bag and a concert size ukulele with a solid mahogany top and all kinds of accessories, including a tuner, everything else, for $29. Now that's a unique sale, and I'll be reviewing those someday down the road in the future because I have a huge backlog of instruments to get through. But there are better deals than this out there. So the value is underneath the price, but it's not far off. It's not far off. You don't get any accessories with this instrument. You'll just get the instrument itself. So if you want a gig bag of any kind or anything like that, you have to pay extra for it. Now, in terms of build quality, this one is actually built pretty well, but newer models by Kala have been cheapened. From what I've seen, they've taken away the kerfing on the inside. You'll see kerfing when we look at the inside in just a couple minutes. They no longer do that on many of their lowest cost Kalas, as well as the Makala line. In fact, I was rather shocked by that. And again, I have nothing against Makala. My first ukulele, which I no longer own, I just had so many, I just got rid of it. Sounds crazy, but I have such amazing instruments today that there's no reason in keeping a entry-level Makala around at this point with the other instruments that I have. Even that one was built to these higher standards. Kala has really dropped the build to keep that price point low for them, and I think profits high. So that's a real negative that doesn't sit so well with me as a whole compared to what they used to do. So basically, you almost have to pay double the amount of money to get into a more expensive Kala that has the features that the entry-level ones used to have. They must not be having any returns or problems with that. Otherwise, they'd fix that. So it must be fine, or people just don't know, but it is something to be aware of. So otherwise, on the outside of this one, it's really well built. You can see a joint here in the heel, and you can see a joint in the neck. I know there is one company that makes a point that they want all their joints above the nuts so that all the energy transmits down the full neck. I've also had other people tell me that that isn't such a big deal, but it's out there, okay? So just, I know one company is using that as a selling point. It's a very dark, classically colored ukulele, and these would remain so sort of that vintage look. And we'll get to appearance in just a second. But overall, the build quality is good. The neck is chunky and thick. That's going to come back as a negative in a couple minutes. But overall, it's really well made on the outside. Let's take a look at the inside. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Makala MK-P. All right, just looking at the back, you can see that there is a tail block. You can see the bracing on the back. You can see that there is a bridge support plate up there. You can see the straight kerfing that is used. There is some glue mess, which is to be expected at this price point. But overall, the laminate seems to be a pretty decent quality laminate. Overall, I mean, sometimes you can just see it and it just looks like plyboard. Some glue mess, but otherwise, pretty nice build on the inside. Let's look at the upper bout. Okay, doing the best I can. In a Soprano, there is the neck block. You can see a little bit of glue there. You can see, again, that back brace right there. Turning a little bit, you can see more of the straight kerfing, more of the straight kerfing down there. Really not much to see here. Just a little bit of glue, but generally decent laminate, pretty clean build with a little bit of extra glue. And that's our quick look at the inside of the Makala by Kala ukulele, the MK-P ukulele. All right, so on the inside, looks pretty good. Overall, pretty well made, pretty clean build. And the one thing I would say is I would be looking for one of these with the kerfing on the inside just for my own peace of mind. I don't think the newest ones come with that. So look for kerfing if you're gonna buy an MKP today. If not, you might wanna look for a used one of these, and they do pop up used from time to time. Now, in terms of appearance, your main selling point here is the pineapple shape. And again, pineapples were developed by Kamaka, a little bit taller at first, even more pineapple-like in terms of shape. And there are a number of companies that make pineapple-shaped ukuleles, from Koloha's actual pineapple sundae to Koloha's pineapples to, I know I've seen Pono with pineapples, and even the Blackbird Clara is a pineapple-shaped ukulele. The idea is that unlike a rounded double bout body like this Kiwaya KS1, you actually gain some more surface area on the soundboard for the ukulele to resonate with, which should generate a different sound, a bigger sound, maybe a warmer sound, a more complete sound of a larger instrument. I think that's really the selling point. Ohana, of course, also has a lot of really cool pineapple shapes, but generally theirs cost even more than this, but you're dealing usually then with nicer laminates and then even some solid woods. So other than that, it's pretty plain other than the pineapple shape that you see here. In terms of availability, you can buy these pretty much wherever Kala is sold. Now, in terms of playability, there are some negatives here. It's a 35 millimeter nut, it's actually under that, with narrow string spacing and a really thick C-shaped neck. So really, you have to think a little bit as you play it. It's not just a standard import, it's a little bit tighter than that. So do keep that in mind. If you have large hands, you're not gonna like it. Is it playable? Sure. Could be better? Absolutely. And I don't know why we're not just insisting that's the case on most ukuleles these days. Let's change the shape of these necks a little bit. Let's make them just a touch wider at the nut and the string spacing so that they're all easier to play. And I think that would be true for all players, not just people with large hands. Now, in terms of sound quality, generally it's pretty good. It's decent. It's plenty loud. It's a very general laminate tone. It has low end sustain, but there's really nothing special about the sound either. It's got good volume, it's got good punch, but it has a darker tone, and sustain is on the low end of the instrument. Now, one of the things I do in these videos is I let you see what I'm hearing using the app Tonal Energy Tuner. So what I'm going to do is play the C chord into the app Tonal Energy Tuner and let you see what I'm hearing. All right, so here we go. All right, I'm hearing more sustain than what Tonal Energy Tuner is picking up in it, but all the sustain is definitely on the low end. Again, fluorocarbon strings might bring out more sparkle on this instrument. If you buy it, you're getting what you're getting. You're getting a pineapple-shaped, vintage-looking ukulele with decent sound and a tight playing experience. So really, there's not much else to say other than that. At about that $59 price point, $60 for this instrument. All right, now that we've looked at the subjective categories, let's go into the specifications. It is a soprano ukulele with a scale length of 13.5 inches from nut to saddle. There are 12 frets, and 12 to the body. There are side position markers at 5, 7, and 10. It's a pineapple body. The soundboard is laminate mahogany. The back and sides are laminate mahogany. Seems to be pretty decent quality. These have a rosewood fretboard. I'm sure you can find models with walnut from the period of time where they weren't allowed to use rosewood, but they're back to using rosewood again. And it is a tie bar bridge. The fretboard is not radius, and the nut and saddle are plastic, and the saddle is not compensated. It's a satin finish. The overall length is 20.75 inches, so just under 21, and it weighs 13.8 ounces, so it is pretty light. It features unbranded open-geared tuners, but one of them failed on me. So thankfully I had some extra tuners around, and I actually installed some Grover tuners that I had in its place. So this now has Grover tuners, which is a big step up from the stock Makala tuners. The action of the first fret is 0.5 millimeters. The action of the 12th fret is 1.75 millimeters. So nice and low action. The nut width is under 35 millimeters at 34.67 millimeters, with string spacing at the first fret of 8.32 millimeters between each string, which is 27.79 millimeters G to A. So it's pretty tight spacing there, under 28 millimeters G to A. And then the depth of the neck at the third fret is 21.36 millimeters from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck. And that is really pretty chunky and C-shaped, especially considering the low action here. So that really makes it really more difficult to play. I have to focus just a little bit more as I play this instrument to make sure my fingers go in the right spots. All right, now that we've talked about subjective categories and the specifications, let's summarize the instrument. I'm personally a big fan of pineapples, and in fact, I'll be doing a comparison of this one with one of my favorite pineapples, laminate of all time, the ARC pineapple. So I'll do a head-to-head comparison video of this one as well. Again, the pineapple is supposed to create some extra sound because it doesn't have the double bout shape cut out of it. You have more surface area for the sound to vibrate with. Again, originally created by the Kamaka company. The instrument plays well. It's tight spacing. It has a laminate tone, which you'd expect, and it really does accentuate the lower frequencies of the instrument. You know, I might prefer fluorocarbons, but, you know, the Ukeles do work on it just fine. It does have your standard callus setup. So 35 millimeter nut. I think somebody has adjusted action on this one at some point before I saw it. And again, thick neck, tight string spacing. One of the tuners had given out, so I replaced it. I think you could contact Kala and they might even send you a replacement tuner. I wasn't just going to deal with that. I just had some extra tuners laying around, so I installed those. And that doesn't make it a bad ukulele in any way. It just, that will happen from time to time. And thankfully, tuners are replaceable. It's not a bad ukulele by any means of imagination. It has a dark finish, so you're going to have to like that styling. But I really do think you can find better sopranos and overall better ukuleles and better ukulele values for the same amount of money. So that being said, what rating would I give this instrument? I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. There's nothing to avoid here, but really there are some better choices out there in terms of value for money or even in terms of spacing and playability of an instrument. But it's not bad. It's not bad. If you bought one of these, there's nothing to regret. It is going to do well for you. You'll just have to focus a touch more and concentrate a touch more with the tight string spacing and tight nut and really C-shaped neck of the instrument. All right. Thanks so much for joining me for this review. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.